We're live into the community, Leverage Community by Virtudesk. Thanks for joining us both on Facebook and on the webinar side. And today we've got Lori Baldwin. Lori, I was calling you Lorraine. Is that okay? What do you go by?
I go by Lori. My full name's Lorraine. When people call me Lorraine, I'm like, where's the 90-year-old? Like, let's not age me any more than I already am. We'll just go with Lori.
Nice, nice. All right, Lori, this is actually my first time talking to you. Like,
yes. Live and in person.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about where you work and what your experience is with leveraging talented people.
So I work at Nexus Realty International. I'm the designated broker. So I manage 70 brokers. And one of the things that I have been able to use my VAs to do is not only to scout and recruit other brokers, because we've gone, in the time I've been here, I joined as designated broker in June. We went from 40 to 70 brokers. So the recruiting efforts have been awesome. I also use my VAs to follow up with leads, create leads, manage my schedule, my managing broker schedule, so that the team always has coverage, all of that great stuff.
All right, I want to go in really quick because we've only got 30 minutes, but I want to go in really quick to explain to me how you're using your virtual assistants, just so that I understand that, and also how you're using your in-house staff. I want to know both, and then I want to know how you empower them, obviously. But first, I want to understand that dynamic.
Okay, so I hope I don't forget any part of that question, because that was a pretty robust question there, Tristan.
I'll repeat it. Don't worry, we got.
I'm still drinking my coffee. So one of the things that I definitely do with my VAs is utilize them to fill in the gaps when I'm at an appointment, emails that come in that are imperative to have even an acknowledgement. I always like to make sure that they're on top of everything, making it look as though I'm everywhere and can do everything, even though, of course, no one person can do that. That's why we hire VAs, right? I have staff in the office that talk with my recruiting VAs. I can't even tell you how many times a day, just to go through, okay, this is the person that you need to contact, managing what's going on before they speak to me. Because the recruits, right, different brokers that we're trying to bring into the brokerage have conversations. So by the time they talk to me, I'm not just having to really tell them all about the company. They already have a pretty good idea because they've sent out emails that were crafted and also followed up, scheduled the appointment, confirmed the appointment. So they've already had multiple touches from Nexus before they ever speak with me.
Got it. All right, cool. And then you're also using your virtual assistants and maybe your staff to do some of the recruiting or some of the recruiting calls, or no?
Yeah, they do. The VA does all the recruiting calls. The first round of calls, that's all done by the VA. I don't even talk to a person until they have spoken with him and been told about the company, and then they come to me. And the schedule, it just gets put on my schedule because I use Calendly. So my VAs that are doing lead follow-up and that type of thing have access to my calendar, as well as my VA that's doing scouting, so they can schedule things, but I'm not being overlapped. None of that is going on, which is, of course, extremely helpful.
All right, cool. So they have a script they're following that they're calling everywhere, everyone locally, right? And they have the script. Once they say, well, or once they hear, well, yeah, that sounds interesting, sure, right? Then it goes over to you at that point, and you close it, right? Is that the idea?
Once they say that they're open to hearing more, that's what I have talked to my VA about. When somebody says that they're open, I want to talk to them.
Okay.
because a lot of times that's going to be a different conversation, because while someone may be open to hearing about something, that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to close them that call, because recruiting is definitely a long and arduous process. It's not something that people just jump ship quickly, unless of course something happens where they need to move. So with that, I'll talk to them, and then we schedule the follow-up.
Hmm.
Either the VA is doing the follow-up with them to touch base again,
Okay.
see how the call went, see, just checking in, because a lot of times it's a 12-month process where you're continually checking up with these brokers to follow up, see how things are going, talk about the different compensations, just really touching base with them and having open communication.
Got it. All right. That makes a lot of sense. So that's how you're using your virtual assistants. What's your staff there for that's in-house?
They do transaction coordination. They do social media marketing.
Okay.
They do a lot. They've done like the buyer's packets, the listing packets, just a lot of the things that I've kind of changed since coming in.
Okay.
We do every week, we do meetings, we do trainings every other week. So they schedule the trainings. They do all of, the information about the trainings. I just give them, here's the information, and they make it pretty.
Okay.
The VA also does that for me. I have a VA. I did a presentation this morning in my BNI group, and it's an 8-minute presentation. And
Okay.
I'm like, these slides don't look very pretty. Here, make this look good. And I sent it off to him, got it back this morning, did the presentation, and everyone was like, oh, wow, do you have a graphic designer? I'm like, no, I have a virtual
Ooh,
assistant. So
I love that.
it was awesome, because you're talking with, I think there was 37 business owners on the BNI group today. So you're showing them firsthand, this is something that is viable. It doesn't look as though it was done by someone who doesn't know what they're doing. It looks very professional. And I always find any type of service, if you can show someone how it's working rather than just trying to sell them on it or tell them about it,
Mhm.
you can real life show them, that always makes a big difference.
That's very, very true. So I love that you said that. So then let's get into, now that you've given us somewhat of an outline of who you've got. Oh, one other question. How many virtual assistants are you currently using, and what's your staff count locally?
2 virtual, 2 local.
Perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
both of those two virtual assistants are used specifically to recruit and create graphic designing for you, or what's that look like?
Okay, so I have one that does just leads and calls for sale by owners, canceled and expireds, past leads, does the follow up with my buyers, sends out the buyer's pack. Um, that whole world. They're scouting listings, they're looking for sellers.
Mhm.
They've gotten me probably in the last month, I would say 3 listing appointments, which may not sound like much, but in this market, we have 2 weeks of inventory on our market. So getting listings right now is next to impossible. There's just nothing for sale. So
Yeah.
just having the at bats with 3 listings has been awesome. So I know that, they're definitely working on it. Then I have my recruiting VA that recruits and works on that aspect for recruiting brokers.
All right, I like that. So you're giving me some ideas here, because now I'm thinking, one of my friends, Mike Bernier and Long Dome, they run an independent brokerage out of Minnesota, and they have, I think, like they're about to hit 500 agents, and
Nice.
that they've grown it over the last 4 years, which is crazy. But one of their integral pieces is this, what you're saying. They have VAs setting up appointments for them, where they're calling up agents from all around the area to bring them in and be part of this brokerage, right? They've trained their VAs to be able to script and dialogue correctly so that they know what they're saying. And I think that has a lot to do with it. So what does this training look like for you when it comes to that?
So we do role playing. One of the things that I think is huge is going ahead and taping my calls so they can hear a little bit about what I'm saying to the brokers and what the difference is.
Okay.
I think it's important to sound the same. You
Okay.
don't want to have one person hard sales and one person, you know, just, hey, how's it going, guys? You really want to be kind of have a company persona, for lack of a better term, but so that you're using scripts, you're saying the same thing so they don't hear one thing from a VA. Because in the beginning, right, they'd hear one thing. And I always wanted to make sure, okay, I don't want them to, even if they don't say it that way, people will hear things differently. So if I know exactly what they're allowed to say, what they're not allowed to say, and I've made that very clear and we've gone through the structure, it makes it a much cleaner way to talk to someone. So if they say, oh, you know, I heard it was $149 a month and that's the only fee, I'm like, oh, no, you'll remember you heard a transaction fee, and remind them and say, you know, that $299. So once they start hearing those numbers, they go, oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, okay, sorry, I'd forgotten about that. So for me, it's just making sure that I know, okay, this is what you're going over when you're talking to them. This is what I am backing up and reiterating to people so that they hear the same thing, because that's one of the things, you don't ever want someone to feel like it's a bait and switch,
Yeah.
or that they're hearing one thing from one person and something else from another. I always want to make sure that it's the same information and that the people understand exactly what's going on.
All right. So in essence, you're also empowering them by telling them exactly what to say, and they feel comfortable knowing that they're saying what you're saying, the same similar process and concept of the company that you're trying to sell. So where are you getting the list for calling agents? Where do you get that?
Cross sales, referrals, they've communicated some way with Nexus.
Okay.
That's where the lists come from.
Okay.
So whether it be online, you know, they've somehow given us their information. So that's where it comes from.
What about when you're calling sellers? So in this case, you're in real estate, you're calling sellers to try to see if they're interested in selling. Where are you getting that list?
So farms, through the title companies, you can pay for farms that have phone numbers and email addresses.
Mhm.
It's, you know, not the cheapest thing in the world, but it's great because I send out all types of information through the CRM. Well, when I say I actually mean my VA.
Okay.
I completely take credit for everything that he does. I'm
Oh.
like, oh, I do that. It's not really true. But, you know, just communicating here's the events that are going on in your area. Because I set up, I can sort my CRM by areas and send out information, events. I mean, just the standard things that you're always going to talk to past clients about. Even if they're not past clients, we just kind of create them into past clients and make sure that we're updating them, giving them market updates, but also information like what do you need to do to your house in the winter? You know, different homeowner things that gets people going, oh, okay, they're providing me information. This is good. They don't want to unsubscribe. It can't always be about house sales.
Yeah.
So we
True.
get the information from a lot of different sources. You know, Craigslist, we're constantly searching for sale by owners.
Ooh,
They go into
okay.
our for sale by owners, like little funnel where then we
Zillow,
contact
too.
them. Oh yeah. The Zillow, you know, if anything that is for sale by owner or the make me an offer or whatever they're calling it now, anything that says that they would consider selling their home, we're contacting them. But we send them information about, you know, ways to sell your house yourself, to
Okay.
provide them with information. And we call and we'll say, hey, you know, the pictures, there's a little script that we have for that to kind of go over ideas. And then when they realize how difficult it is to actually do our job and get the most for our house, it's not just, even in this market, you don't throw it up for sale by owner and it magically goes, you know, 50,000 over list price. I love when people think that, you know, oh, I can put this for sale by owner and I'm going to get more. I'm like, good luck. Because I have fun. I'm sure you do too, Tristan. When you see that you're writing an offer on a for sale by owner, you're like, oh, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
So that's what we do, is just, you know, provide them with information and keep following up so we can try and get the listing.
And what are you using for your virtual assistants for them to be able to call and dial?
Timble is our dialer.
Perfect.
So we're definitely, we have a dialer. We have a local phone number for them, so it doesn't appear out of area at all.
Perfect.
We have also through our CRM, we have, they don't use the CRM dialer, but they do use Timble.
Perfect.
So that's what we have been.
What CRM are you using right now for your virtual assistants to make sure that they keep everything in one place?
So I have 2 different systems for each of them. Asana is what we use for scouting, because that way we can keep track of all the notes and communicate really well through that.
Okay.
We're using KV Core right now
Okay.
for the leads.
You should look into Follow Up Boss. It's simple. And
Oh, I'm looking into lots of things right now. Looking into lots of things because there's a lot of better CRMs out there.
Yeah.
In January, I am definitely open to looking at more.
Oh, perfect. All right. So I think look at it because that's one of the ones we use for, we actually have 3 different Follow Up Boss accounts, which is crazy, right? We have one for real estate, one for real estate, one for the business lab coat agents, right? Because we have all of our top clients there that interact with us. And then one for the consulting side of what I do, which is a brilliant tribe, right? And so it's all, but it works so well for everything. So try that. Now,
is it user friendly?
Super.
Okay.
Extremely user friendly. And
I bet you, killing me.
I bet you we can have the CEO and their team connect Timble, since you use Timble, connect that and maybe have an API run smoothly. So we'll talk about that. So a lot of people are probably wondering, like, well, what's the empowering look like? Well, look, that's the questions I've been asking. I think if you've missed it, she's empowering her staff, whether it's here or abroad, with the right tech. She's empowering with the right dialogue. She's empowering them with the right processes. This way, they don't have to figure it out for themselves. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I see when people hire in-house staff or abroad, right? You kind of just like, hey, Lori, welcome to the team. Help me. Here's stuff, right? So besides what I said, what other ways are you using to empower those virtual assistants and your in-house staff?
So one of the things that I always have done is concentrate on the positive. When they do something great, I am like their biggest cheerleader. And I'm always like, I always say, thank you, please. I do things that make them feel that I'm not dictating to them. We're a team, because without each member of the team, you're not going to accomplish nearly as much. So I always make sure that I empower them by saying, hey, you guys, great job on this. Or when something doesn't go exactly as planned, it's not like coming down, screaming, yelling. It's, hey, what can we do different? Where did this kind of get off track? And just really going through almost like, it's been great on like Facebook Messenger or Zoom or any of those. Get the VA and the staff here together all on one call or text or whatever it is, depending on the media we're using, and just look at, okay, where can we fix this? Where can we make adjustments? I love to use the analogy. I hate cooking, just so we're very, very clear on this. The only thing I cook is marinara sauce from scratch.
Okay,
so,
that's good.
When you start out, you put in your sausage, you do all this stuff. I don't get to 4 p.m. after starting cooking at about 3 or 4 a.m. and take a sip and then throw it out. No, you just add things that it is missing. So that's really how I look at life. I don't just, throw it out or just go, oh, this person's just not doing what they're doing. No, just add some things in, whether it's, hey, let's script this. Oh, let's make sure to role play. It's just adding the things in that are missing from making that the perfect transaction, marinara sauce, whatever it is. It's just adding things in So that's how I look at it. And that's one of the big things that I am thankful for that I've learned through owning as many companies as I have, is just stay even keel and talk to the person, because everything can be fixed through communication. You know, if somebody has a bad call or they get yelled at by someone, just, hey, no problem, on to the next. So that's another thing.
I love that. So then how do you communicate with them and how often? Because I think that has a lot to do with empowering them too, because from having staff and virtual assistants for now more than, I don't know, 14 years, it's very, very clear to me that the more we communicate with all of our staff, my dog approves of what I'm saying. So, but with all of our staff, it empowers them. How do you do it? How do you communicate?
So I always do a start of day communication to kind of say, okay, this is what's going on today, so that everybody knows. If I'm going to be on a call doing different things and I'm not able to be reached during certain periods of time, they know that. They have access to my calendar and they're well aware. Okay, this time is blocked off. Then it's also making sure that throughout the day, as things come up, you're sending emails, text, whatever way that you need to communicate with them, you're doing. That's a big thing. I can't always be on a call with someone, because a lot of times, you know, I'm running a sales meeting via Zoom. So I can't just, hold on, guys, I got to take a call. You can't do that. So you have to be able to text, Facebook message, you know, WhatsApp, any of the ways to communicate. You want to have everything open, because I know in the Philippines, there was a, you know, horrible storm that happened just a little while ago. So it was, hey, you know what? I have probably 7 ways to communicate with my VAs there. And they still were able to talk to me throughout the entire process. And I was checking in.
What are the ways that so give me the tech that you use to communicate with them.
So text message, that's huge, because that's easy, right? You can always get onto text. Facebook Messenger, Asana, also WhatsApp, email. I know there's more, KV Core. Yeah. And I know there's 7, so I'm missing one right now, but I can't think of it. It's through a platform that we use.
Telepathy. I'm just
not there yet, Tristan. You need to get me to your level. I'm not there.
That was number 7. You got it. You got it.
There we go.
So I'm going to add a couple more, because one of the things that I know this sounds weird, but my primary form of communication is my iPhone. So I'm messaging, right? And so one of the things that I request, if possible, anybody who joins the team and anybody who joins my staff, whether it's here in the US or abroad, they have to have an iPhone, because this is my go-to. Like I message everyone, right? And if you're in the Philippines, or like I have people outside in London, in Canada, in Mexico, and all throughout, if you have an iPhone, right, it doesn't matter where you're at, I can iMessage you through your email. And that's really important to me, because then I can bundle you into a group and name the group, right? And that's super powerful. I think it's underestimated. So that's my primary way of communicating. And then like we do Slack, and we're using different tech like that. So yeah.
Zoom.
I
forgot Zoom.
That's
my number 7. I'm like, what is it? But yeah, the other thing is I travel a lot and I go out of the country. So one of the key things for me is making sure that if for some reason I lose cell service, that I do have Wi-Fi access to whatever communication that I need to be able to communicate with people. Because even when I'm traveling, I mean, I've done sales meetings from the beach at the Dominican Republic. I have to be able to have access. So, you know, whether I'm on Lake Tahoe, whether I'm in the Dominican Republic, Italy, wherever I am, I have to be available. So.
That's true. Very, very true. All right. We're at 30 minutes. Anything you want to add that I may have missed that you wanted to touch on? No, I think we covered it
No,
all. I think,
we've hit a lot.
yeah, if anything, if you all learned anything from this, I think empowering those people that you work with isn't just about giving them the right technology and the right processes, but it's also how you communicate with them. I think Lori mentioned saying thank you, being aware of what their reality is, where they're from. It doesn't matter what country they're from or what city, because everybody's working virtually here, mostly in the United States. So I think that's truly important, just being more aware of that and realizing that, look, I don't care where you're at. It doesn't matter where, we're equal, right? And I think we sometimes forget that part, right? Because we're not seeing each other, or maybe we see each other through Zoom, or I'm just texting you. I almost feel like you're not really real. Like I can treat you like a piece of tech, which I think gets doesn't get talked enough about. So
I always like to remember you catch more flies with sugar and honey than you do with vinegar. And the more you're kind, the more it's like everyone around you, it spreads.
yeah,
So
so good. Great. That's a great comment, Lori. Thank you. I love that. And then Mark's asking if you can share some of your scripts from like virtual assistants that you use. Is there any chance you can post that into the Leverage community? Maybe one script that you use? Perfect.
yeah. So I can definitely do that today. I've got back-to-back meetings, so it might be this
Whatever.
afternoon.
Hey,
I promise to share, but yeah, I'm just gonna have a busy morning, but I will share.
I love it. Well, Lori, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this and helping us understand your world a little bit better.
Thank you, Tristan. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day.